Hey guys, welcome back to Bread Box Racing in 4x4. Today, we're getting the transmission for the Porsche put back together. So, my friend from Vancouver came through and got me the parts I need. These came directly from Porsche in Germany via the Porsche dealer in the Lower Mainland, or Vancouver, to those of you not from BC. I didn't realize that it doesn't come with the roll pins. There isn't really any way to know that, I guess, without having access to Porsche's parts database directly, but I gave him the part number and he got it to me, so I can't fault him. He was just ordering a part number. So, anyways, so what it is we've got our new shifter fork for 3rd, 4th. It also came with a new selector shaft and collar. Really, there's not a lot to this. I'm just cleaning it, because well, you saw the oil that came out of it. It looked like never sees. That's not a good thing. So I want to get as much of that out as I could. The diff and side cover, I'm going to wash in the parts bin, or parts washer. So anytime I have to use vice grips or the vice on the selector shafts, you're going to see I use a really heavy welding glove. That's just so I can still grip them, but I don't damage the shaft. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got the selector shafts out that we needed to. What I've done is I've gone through and I've doused this thing down with a whole bottle of this stuff, the Clean Flow Brake Clean. It cut right through the gear oil and got most of this stuff out of this transmission, which is really kind of handy. So I'm just going to continue cleaning. And so that's just a really fine Scotch-Brite wheel I'm using. It takes all the stuff off, but it doesn't take any aluminum off, and it doesn't damage the surface, so it still seals perfect. I'm just using gear oil as assembly lube, since that's what goes in the transmission. So I'm using anaerobic sealant. Unlike RTV, which hardens when it's exposed to air, this hardens when it's not exposed to oxygen. So it's great for transmissions and machine surfaces which fit tight, but for big gaps, it's not what you need. You want RTV for that. Alright guys, we got her back together. I've checked, every gear seems to work. I just spun it by hand. I didn't want to spin the thing with no fluid in it. That would, kill it. So, but everything seems to be working. I got no extra parts left over. Yeah, it turns out that was a lie. If you're doing this, maybe what I had to do is I chamfered the roll pin holes on the selector shaft just a little bit. Not much, just a little. And then I chamfered the end of the dowel just a touch to give me a fighting chance of getting it to line up. I only had to do that on one. That was the shift fork collar that is separate from the shift fork on the 3/4 shift fork shaft. I know that's a mouthful, but the other ones I was all able to get, but yeah, on that one I had to. Getting all your shift selectors to line up was a bit of a bear. What I found helped though was taking zap straps and zap strapping this selector all to this as tight as I could, and that held the one selector shaft in place that could flop around a bunch and made it a lot easier. I used anaerobic sealant for this, not RTV. Don't confuse the two. They're not the same thing. So the reason I use that is this is what it's made for. It's made for machine surfaces that mate. It's just, that's what it's made for. Can you use RTV? Yeah, absolutely. No reason you can't. This is what I've used on manual transmissions in the past though, and it's worked pretty well. And as I reassembled things in here, all the bearings got gear oil. I doused a bunch of bearings, threw some oil over the gears. That way I can, if things moved a little bit, they weren't gonna gall, all that kind of stuff. Spun it by hand before I put the case half on. Maybe I'm being a little overkill, but that's what I've done in the past. It's always worked, and why risk it? It takes you 2 seconds to do. So now we gotta put it back in the car. Seems like a problem for tomorrow, Brad.